I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, AfterBuzzers. Welcome back to the World of Dance After Show. We are so happy to have you guys joining us today. In light of Black Lives Matter movement, we took a pause to reflect and just organize and unify on what's going on. But we are back with episode 5, the callbacks, which is a very interesting twist on the season. But before we jump into this great twist, I have this beautiful cast with me. Kay, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? You're looking great. I love your little updo.
Thank you. I'm really trying to glow, just really trying to shine. But Tiege, how are you?
I'm good. You are glowing and shining, just so you know. But I'm good. I'm happy to be reunited. This is fun. I'm happy to be back.
Yes. So this was definitely, like I said earlier, a very interesting episode to come back on. We have a callback. And instead of some auditioners getting a solid yes or no in the qualification round, some of them got a callback answer. And so they're able to come back, kind of regroup, rework their routine, and kind of prove to the judges again why they deserve to be in the competition. So that's what this episode was about. Tiege, how did you feel with this new element in the season?
Okay, so if I'm being honest, it's a little bit different from what World of Dance started as, right? Like World of Dance began as a dance show that was different in the way that you went straight to the stage and it was lights, camera, action. Can you perform in this setting? And it was like off to the races. So I think it's a little different, like having the callbacks and then having like the first rounds in the big open space without an audience, I think is a little bit different than what we're used to. So I think it takes a little bit of adjusting. I think it's still great and still fun to watch. However, I think I miss that element of like right out of the gate, lights, cameras, actions. There's a crowd. Can you do it? Yes or no? And like it was less of a we'll see if you can like perform better or whatever. It just felt like it took away from what I missed. Like the thing that made World of Dance unique, I think. But I think we will get to feeling that way again. I don't know.
Kay, what do you think this will mean in terms of like later on in the season? I mean, they already had that initial shock of being in front of the judges right out the gate. Do you think they're also going to have a shift when they're back on stage? Or do you think some of the performers will have to get used to that element as well?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to change when they get back in front of an audience. It's just, I mean, all of us here have danced before. So, if you do any type of performance that has an audience involved, this is just an element that you cannot replicate, and it just brings a different energy to whatever you do, no matter what type of performance it is in front of an audience. So I'm excited actually to see them get back in front of the audience, because I think that's when you're going to be able to see a different type of energy from these groups. And I think I'm interested to see an audience's reaction also. I mean, we get a little reaction from the judges, but it's just not the same.
Yeah. And I think it kind of like, it helps and hinders at the same time, because I mean, you don't have the lights, you don't have the special effects. So you really are just looking at the raw talent. But at the same time, Kay, like you said, you don't have that audience reaction. You don't have that momentum and that love and just kind of like that feeling of being on the stage. I mean, we all know they say you perform the same way that you do in tech rehearsal on the stage, but it's a little different. It's a little different. So it's kind of like, like are the performers kind of getting the full experience and getting a fair chance because they're just performing in this garage thing? I don't know. But anywho, let's just jump right into the episode. So we see some of the people come back for their callback. And I don't know if it was just me, but when I was like watching the episodes, I thought there were so many more callback like groups. It was only 10, and for whatever reason in my head I calculated like at least 20, and I was like, oh goodness, like this episode's gonna be so long, they're gonna break so many hearts. But it was only 10, so that was good. But coming into this episode, were there any acts that you really wanted to see come out on top? T, what did you think? Did you like go in kind of having your fingers crossed for someone?
Yes, you know what? I love the group. Is it MNTGRV? How do they say it?
Don't ask me, because some of these
there's those little babies in the camo.
Yes.
Gray camo. I was like so impressed with them this week. I thought they did really, really well and totally improved. And I was just really proud of them. And I was excited to see them because I just love little nuggets. So they were great.
Same. Little nuggets, they just pull on your heart a little bit. Kay, was there any group that you was like, please just put them through?
I was excited to see Avant-Garde Collection because they were so different. And so I was excited to see in the callback what else they could do. If they were going to change it up, what else they could bring. So
I feel like they were a group that would have done better with a crowd.
I agree.
You know?
And kind
there
of
are
like
specific acts, that are like,
just kind of like the overall element, just kind of like more lights, a stage, an audience. I think they definitely would have excelled in that setting as well. And that's definitely what I was thinking when I was watching them. I was like, I don't really know if this setting is really benefiting their style. But speaking of styles, we saw a group, Pumpfidence, which is a heel group, which is kind of like something new that we've seen. I don't think that we've ever seen a heel group on World of Dance. And I know that like with, have we?
I think we have.
Okay, maybe we have. It's still like a new thing, though. We haven't seen that many acts, though.
Right.
I was like, okay, I definitely either haven't seen this or haven't seen this in a while on this show. But I know with the rise of the style, we see it a lot on social media and things like that. And I just definitely want to pick you guys' brain about, do you think that style of dance is competitive enough for World of Dance? Even though that group didn't make it through, but how do you guys think that that style of dance kind of holds up against these technically trained dancers? It's a lot of contemporary, a lot of hip hop, and then you have this new kind of forming style. Tiege, what was your thoughts on that?
Here's the deal. What they're doing is so hard. Like, admittedly, that is doing heel stuff is so hard, takes so much control, takes so much energy, but it's so hard to make it look hard, you know? Because the idea of the whole style, right, is to be like this like effortless, you know, like just moving, grooving type of thing. So it's hard for it to come off incredibly competitive. It can definitely look at best like a really hot music video or like something that's like very like shareable on Instagram. Like that's like really great if that can come off that way, but it's really hard to, I think, be on a dance show that's competitive and continue to elevate yourself when all you have, your secret trick is like heels. And there's only so much you can really do in those realistically. I mean, you can't really do gymnastics. You can't, I mean, you could do kind of some tricks to an extent, but I think it's hard to compete on shows like this with heels numbers. But again, they are great. And it looks like the girl who started that group is really successful and she's done a lot in the dance world and dance industry. And so I think it's great for commercial work. I just don't know if it always translates for a competitive stage.
Yeah. Kay, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts were the same. Like when she said a music video, I was like, yeah, I mean, it's not, I don't think it's competitive at all. I thought that was really sweet that J-Lo went over and hugged them and really acknowledged the difficulty of it. But as far as it being competitive, I just don't think it's competitive at all. I don't doubt that it's hard. I mean, I think 50% of the population probably doesn't know how hard it is because they've never walked in it. But the rest of us know it's hard and even hard to dance in, but it's not competitive. And for me, it's not particularly compelling to watch. I mean, more than a few times. Yeah.
And it's like with these new forming styles, it's like you don't want to, it's hard to like judge dance as like a dancer. It's just like, oh, like, you know, this is the freedom of expression. Like, I can't tell you what to do. But I definitely had the same feelings of like, I don't think this is competitive. Because like you said, T, there's not really much you can do. Like it's really kind of restricting. Like you can only kind of do movements from like the waist up, honestly, and then maybe like, you know, bust out a plie, but you can't do a lot of like things that you are able to do when you don't have the shoes on. And so I was kind of like, I don't really know. Honestly, I think if we were back in the America's Best Dance Crew type of realm, I think it possibly could have worked. Just looking at the difficulty, like the level of difficulty that they were at versus the level of difficulty that World of Dance is at, I think that would have kind of like been a better playing field. But something about this, I was like, I don't know. Like even in the audition, I was kind of like, okay, like what's going to be the jaw drop or what's going to like really bring someone in? And I just kind of felt like it was missing. But I don't know, like maybe we'll see more. T, what were you thinking?
So there's one thing I wanted to mention too. I think that it looked like, and I don't know details on this, so I should have looked at it, but I don't know how long that they've been like a full formed group. And it just seems like some of them, and if you watch it back, some of them did not fully know what was going on. There were some girls that were like looking and I'm like, oh no. So I don't know if maybe it was just like one of those like high pressure situations and we're like, we have to add more girls in or whatever it is, because a lot of times it happens that way, or like whoever's available or whatever. So maybe it was like that kind of quick turnaround. But I think that if they would have had a little bit more time together or prepared a little bit more, it could have been even more solid, which would have, I think, helped their chances of moving forward.
And that was definitely something that in the previous episodes that the judges mentioned a lot, just kind of having that chemistry with your partner or partners, and just being able to move together. And I think that's definitely something that hindered a lot of the acts that we saw in this season, just kind of like underestimating how much time it really does take to mesh well and to complement each other's styles. And I think just some of them just needed a little bit more work. And I definitely think that was one of the groups, along with a couple of other things, but I definitely think that was something that was like, okay, maybe like fine tune it and come back. But speaking of just notes that we've been seeing a lot in this season, we also got a lot of notes about costuming. And that's one of the reasons why some of the acts that we saw on this episode got the callback and not the solid yes or solid no. I definitely want to hear you guys' experience, like what from a performance, like from a performer and from someone just looking at the performers, how much does the costume play into the overall experience for you guys? Okay.
Oh, the costume is huge. I mean, I think back on a couple of episodes ago, and we weren't really able to get into this, but they had the Native American dancers come out, or American Indian dancers come out, and their costumes were amazing. They all had on different costumes. They were traditional. They were beautiful. You could tell, the beadwork, the artisanship, the time that went into those costumes. They were just amazing. And so I think it would have been a totally different experience if they come out in just regular clothes. And I think appreciating that was, a part of appreciating culturally what they had to bring. They're just work completely. I feel like we didn't understand as an audience, and we need probably more education on that. I felt like they should have gotten a call back. I felt like they should have done better and gotten a call back. But to answer your question, I absolutely think costumes make a huge difference, because depending on the blocking of the costume, if you're dancing in a group, it just makes everything flow smoother. And like the group that I really liked, the Avant-Garde Collective, they were all dressed in a certain, in those brown plaid, like old school type of costumes. And it really gave you a certain feeling, especially when they came out and they were breakdancing to Beethoven. You know what I mean? It was just like a really cool mood. So I think costumes are super important in that respect.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to touch on some of the acts that we feel kind of should have been given a second chance. But let's kind of wrap up the costume thing. Tiege, how do you feel about the costuming, and do you think sometimes it hinders an act or can push an act forward?
It can totally hinder an act, I would say. If the dancer is not comfortable, if the dancer doesn't feel good in the outfit, like you can always tell. But I will say, like, I'm not a huge, I definitely love great costumes, and I think it can definitely add a lot to a performance. But I'm definitely also not like opposed to like just like a neutral basic thing, especially now. Like, it would be different if we were on stage. It'd be different if the lights, cameras, action. I do want a nice costume, but like right now, like in this like different setting, this like callback, that kind of thing. Like, I don't think it would bother me to see just a plain outfit or plain costume, because like, at the end of the day, you can still see technique, and you can tell if a dancer's classically trained or not, and it doesn't matter what they're wearing. So I think sometimes it can help, but overall, I don't think it has a huge bearing. But I will say, obviously, it's a little different. Like groups, it makes costumes make more sense. Like costumes have to kind of be more cohesive, and like it's probably more of a decision. But like solos or duets, that's like, I feel like costumes are less important in that situation.
Yeah. I was just looking at some of the acts, and I know one of the acts that came back that ended up doing the performance with the chairs, their previous audition, they had like there's a whole bunch of colors and a whole bunch of rhinestones. And honestly, personally, I was like, that might have been distracting, and why they got like a callback and not a solid yes or solid no. That could just be like a personal thing for me. I'm kind of more of a like, let me see the dance, and I don't really care about I mean, yes, like you said, T, a cute costume is, we all love a cute costume, especially if it fits snug, like if it fits right, you just really feel it. However, like sometimes when it's a whole bunch of bells and whistles on the costume alone, I'm kind of like, okay, this is like distracting. And I know that was kind of some of the feedback that not just them, but some other acts got as well. But I was kind of like, I mean, that's true. When you don't have all the lights and stuff, the costume kind of becomes a little bit overbearing about than what you're doing. But that's kind of interesting to hear, because I know some of them did get, I mean, I always want to say pumpified. I don't know why, but Pumpfidence got their critique about lowering their heel. I think I want to say it was Young Cast or maybe another group. I could be mixing it up. I apologize. Got a critique about like the jumpsuits that they had on, so they came back. It was another critique about costumes. So I was kind of like, wow, okay, this is something that we're hearing a lot, especially in this warehouse setup, which again, we still don't even know if that's really what's best or not, but we're gonna have to take it because it's already filmed. So moving on. Coming into this episode, now we only got to see callbacks. We didn't really get to see anybody else. Of course, we won't see anybody who got a no again, and we didn't see anybody else that got a yes. But was there any act, I guess we'll just start with, were there any acts that got a no that you were really hoping either got a callback or a yes, and that you were kind of disappointed to see go away? Any just throughout the entire first part of the season? Okay.
Yeah, I think I just echoed my disappointment, and I was not alone. There were a lot of people who were that sentiment across Twitter. A lot of people got a lot of traction about the trio of Native American dancers. So I think a lot of people were really proud to see their culture represented, and then people were like me, who it's not necessarily our culture, but we don't really understand it, and we've never seen anything like that. So we wanted to see more of it. You know what I mean? I wanted to be educated on it. I wanted to at least have them have a callback and then explain, different things and situations and why they're doing whatever that they're doing. So I felt like it was really a missed opportunity to kind of expand the audience's palette.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did this group stick out to you at all? Did you kind of have those same feelings?
Yeah, I totally echo what Kay is saying. And also, I will say I was a little bit sad to see Project 21 go tonight. I think that they did the chairs tonight. Mm-hmm. And I also like this whole performance. Maybe it's online. I'll check their YouTube, but their whole performance was one of those examples of what we were talking about earlier, where it sounded like they changed the music.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like the original song.
And it didn't seem like they played their full performance either.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And Project 21 has a really great reputation, and they've they've got kind of a lot going on, and their choreographer Molly's pretty well known. And so I just was kind of surprised / slightly upset that we didn't see the whole performance. And then I wanted to see it with the music. So maybe it's online somewhere, but it's probably a thing that was done for editing. But I was sad to see them go, especially because I was like, wait, well, but why are they fully going? We don't really know, because I couldn't fully judge the routine.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think like from the little glimpses that we did see, their technique is impeccable, but then also their cohesiveness looked really nice from like the little tidbits that I saw. So I was kind of wishing, instead of, I don't know, seeing these like these like weird slow-mo shots or whatever, I kind of wanted to just see like a basic wide shot of their performance, because they move really well together. Like that's almost undeniable, but at the same time, I feel like I only know that from like the 3 seconds that I was able to see them dance together. So yeah, even if that didn't change anything, like even if they still didn't get a yes, I still feel like us as viewers kind of wanted to see that and appreciate that, especially as an audience who likes watching dance. I mean, you want to watch it no matter if they get, no matter if they get through it out. I mean, there's some dances that we probably don't want to see, but I mean, in this type of setting, I think everybody's pretty qualified, and that they're quality dancers. So you really just want to see what they bring and what they exude. So I agree, Tiege. I was kind of like, oh, I wanted to see whatever you guys are critiquing. I would have liked to know what you guys are talking about, because I have no idea. All we saw was like the first chair, and then they were out of breath, and it was the end. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know.
I kind of felt like that across the board too, Toree, when it came to callbacks, because we saw the original performance, they're getting a callback. We're kind of on the edge of our seat. Like, are they going to make it? Are they not going to make it? And of course, we're armchair quarterbacking the whole show. So we want to make a good, just like decision on who we thought should have made it or not. So I felt really slighted by not being able to see everyone. I know there are time constraints. Maybe they could have dragged it out, or I don't know, like figured out some kind of way, maybe had less commentary or something. But I really felt like I wanted to see every single performance, at least if you had to cut it with original music. Because when you put a new track on top of somebody's dance, that changes.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, definitely felt kind of slighted, especially for there to only be 10. Like I said, I was expecting to see like 20 acts. I don't know why. I felt like I kept hearing callback like throughout the audition process. So I was like, here we go. Like, we're going to be here all day. But I think kind of seeing less of the behind the scenes of the judges and more of the actual dances, especially since they were only 10 and they only probably have like, I don't know, like 2 minutes to perform. I definitely feel like we could have seen the entire thing, but we're never going to get that back. So there's that. But we are moving on to the duels. So some of our faves still might not even make it out of this. Is there anyone who has made it to the duels that you are super, like you want to see them make it on the stage? Like anyone who is already an early favorite? I know it's kind of hard because we've seen like so many acts within all of these episodes. You're kind of like, okay, I don't even remember who's in episode 1, but anybody who has just caught your attention so far, T.
You know what? Can you come back to me on this?
Yes.
Kay, do you want to go first?
It's definitely Groovement. I'm really excited about Groovement. Their kids are killing it. For the whole, I was just like, is it just me or are juniors murderers this season? Like the juniors are coming with it. They're going to be the most fun to watch. They are just precise and exact and just like, I don't know. They're amazing. So Groovement is one of my favorites. I love the facials that they pull. Like the little one in the front is hilarious to me. Everything is like great personality. I just want to see more of that from them. So I love them. I also love 305, which is another junior squad. 305's just energy is amazing. They are so fun to watch. They came out, they had their, okay, you talk about an outfit, Toree, girl. They had on neon pink shingle,
costume.
But they were working it. I mean, I love to watch a group where I don't even really know that style of dance, but I'm just like so excited by it, like their energy is high. They're having so much fun. They're just so much fun to watch. So I would say for me now, 305 and Groovement are at the top of my list. This one I'm really, really excited about seeing.
Yeah.
I love Bailey and is it Kita?
Yes, it's Kita.
Kita. I love them. I'm really excited to see them. And I love any like small baby number.
Anyone like 13 and under.
Yeah, just adorable. Yeah, so I'm also excited about Groovement. Yeah, and I'm excited to see the Rise too, who just made it through.
Yes. Now the Rise got some interesting feedback, and I definitely want to hear you guys. But quickly, I don't even know what their names are. I wish I did, but now I'm having a brain fart. But they were a partner group. They're actually married. I think they were in the episode 2, and they had like this like intensity. They were like a Latin group, but I think they're from Italy. It was a lot going on to their story, but they had like been dancing since they were 6, and the backstory was already beautiful. But when they got on that floor, I want to say stage, even though it's like just the floor. When they got on the floor, it was like this intensity that you were really like, I don't want to stop watching this. Like the flow, the intensity, the contrast between like staccato and legato movements. I was like, wow, y'all are really doing it. Well, I was like, I need to go back to class. That's what I need to do. But that's kind of like one of my faves. Of course, like I think I'm forgetting so many because we've seen so many acts, and that's one of like the hardest parts about shows like this, when you watch all these auditions and you don't remember who's who. But back to the Rise, they got a very interesting comment in their original audition, and I think in their callback, about one of the young men being in the front the whole time because he was kind of like the powerhouse. Now I wanted to know, especially because we are a group of dancers, and I know that even though from an audience perspective that could be received in a different way if you are somebody that's also dancing in the group. How would you guys feel if you were in that group and kind of heard that someone else should be in the front the whole time? Okay.
I was like, y'all gonna make these people fight. Like, they said that a couple of times.
Yeah.
Like, that person with the energy, once they got to the front, everything shifted. You need to put people in the front for a reason. I think a lot of times people are used to, I think when you're younger, your dance teacher, like if you're in high school, she just wants you to do formations. And she's kind of looking like T-ball. Everybody gets to be in the front. Let's make it fair. But like, that's not what we're doing anymore. Like J-Lo say, you're in it to win it. So you know who your best dancer is. You know who should be front and center. So when they made that comment, I was like, oh, I felt bad, but none of those comments were unwarranted. Everyone that they said that to was true, was honest and true. And I feel like on a team, if I know I'm not the strongest dancer and I know that Toree's the best dancer, I'm gonna put her up front because we're all gonna get to split the million when we win either way. Why would I care who's in front? That's what teamwork is. Teamwork makes the dream work. So I don't need to be front and center for my team, right? For my team to win. So yeah, like it's gonna probably have some bruised egos, but as long as people are keeping their eye on the ultimate prize, you as a team should be able to move forward with that. For me, I thought with Rise in particular, I just felt like there weren't enough surprises for me. They did like that mini basket catch at the end, but in the beginning, it was really small little tricks, nothing big. And then I just felt like their music choice really hindered them a lot. But other than that, they're great. They're going to be a really fun group to watch as well. I feel like they're going to be a group that is going to be able to turn it up a notch every time we see them come out.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. So here's the thing I thought about that. Even before the judge, and I was trying to look up who choreographed that routine, and I'm sure it's really easy, and I'm sure people that are watching this are like, you're dumb for not knowing this. So I really tried to figure it out, couldn't. But I'm gonna say I already was feeling that way when the routine started, and if you watch it back, there's the main guy who I'm kind of like assuming maybe had something to do with choreographing it, or maybe he's a part of like the, he founded the team or something like this. This is just a guess because I've seen this several times, but he was in the front for most of it. He was like the center focal point for most of it, which makes sense if you're like the person who started it or whatever. But I actually noted that before the judges said like, hey, you should move people around a little bit. And anyway, so when they said that, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And I think maybe it's hard for somebody like that, if he is, this again means speculating and making things up, but if he was, founder of the group or something, it may be hard for him to hear like, look, dude, we need you to like back up sometimes, put your other people in the front, and kind of like shuffle it around because it's a little bit more fun when it's like everybody's involved type of thing. Yeah. I don't think they meant like we need the one guy to be in front the whole time. I think that like just a little bit more movement would be good, especially because like I said, most of the focal point was to this guy who I'm sure is the one who choreographed it, but I can't figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And the one, I really wish I knew his name. I need to like, when this like narrows down, we'll definitely be better with like group names and who everybody is.
His name's Myson Jr., blonde.
Yes.
Myson Jr.
He's been on this series before. But they also also with the blonde hair, like it's kind of hard like not to look at him. He does kind of draw you in just from the beginning. But I was like, yeah, I do think his energy kind of needs to like be shuffled to the front a little bit. But like you said, I think sometimes when you're choreographing, sometimes it might feel natural to, I don't know, in my choreographing experience, it feels natural to take myself out. I'd rather just not do it. But I can also see on the flip side how it's kind of like easy, just like I'll stand right here. Everybody kind of let's like do this. And this is how we're going to workshop this. But I am curious to see how this is kind of going to, I guess, play out behind closed doors. Of course, World of Dance is not really like that. They don't really like show you the process too much, so we probably wouldn't know. But I was just wondering how that will shift the dynamic as they move forward, because at the end, like, I don't know, I think we've all worked with dancers who enjoy being in the front, and the minute that they're not in their comfort zone, it kind of does shift the dynamic. It shifts the way that they kind of like bring something to the team. And I'm not saying that any of those members are like that. I'm just saying that's a possibility. It is a big group of them. And I was just wondering, after hearing that twice, like, I don't know. Like, you go from being the focal point to being in the back. You tell me how you gonna feel, but whatever. But it was definitely interesting to just see. But I'm excited to see what else they're gonna bring, especially in the duels, which is now. Let's get into the duels.
Wait. I just want to really quickly correct myself because I'm an idiot. The choreographer for Rise is a guy named Sal Benuelos.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think he's in the crew from my investigation, but he's choreographing. So anyways, just wanted to clear that up.
Okay. So jumping into duels, now we got a little taste, of course, in the preview, the whole Next on World of Dance situation, and we see that they are back in the garage. Now, I know we kind of said how we feel about the garage as a whole, just kind of like this whole setting. How do you guys think this is going to play out for duels? One, I was like, is there enough space for all of this? Because it kind of also seems like they want the other acts to watch. I don't know. From the clip that I got, it really kind of looked like they had like 5 groups in there at one time. It was just kind of like this, almost kind of like a cipher type of thing. And so I was like, okay, now this could be me reading the 30-second clip wrong, but I was like, I don't really know how this is going to be. Like, this could be better because if there's more people in there, that's kind of like an audience in a sense, just other dancers. I don't know if you guys saw the little clip, but how do you feel about the duels being again in this type of setting? Okay, I see your brain turning. Go ahead and tell me what you think.
I love that you're calling it the garage. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I was able to go to a live and it was duels. My daughter and I went. Wow. It was totally worth it. You guys, duels there are insane. The audience goes crazy. I mean, the feeling is electric. And especially because the audience is a circle, so it's completely encapsulated, you know? So you're cheering and you can see someone across the way cheering too or not cheering, and you're screaming your heart out for the person that you like the most, and you guys are, oh no, I'm surprised, this hit different. It's just so much fun. I just do not know how that's going to be recreated. Now, the audience is there, and also it is done like a cipher because for duels, they set up a couple of crews, and the crews are out watching too. They're like, they have a special like section off where they can sit and watch. So they kind of go like, oh, whatever, make faces and all that kind of stuff, which is really so it's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully they're as hype as an audience would be. Hopefully they're lively and excited to see other people dance.
Yeah.
But and like you just cannot. And I feel like as a viewer, when you're home watching it, you can too feel the energy of the audience, because they're and reactions are real and 100%. So I don't know. I'm not going to judge it early. I'm not going to judge it. We're just going to see what happens. Maybe they'll do you guys hear like about live sports? They're going to start putting a track under live sports now. Like they're going to be from like 3 years ago. So maybe they'll do something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. How do you think that they're going to move to an audience after the duels are over? Do you think we're kind of be put in this garage a little bit longer? Like, what do you think this looks like for the season? Because we really haven't seen it like this before.
Yeah, I sure hope we start to see a live audience soon. Just because, like we've said a million times, it just adds another element of excitement. And also, like, the dancers feed off of that and the audience feeds off of it. So I think that overall, I'm excited to hopefully get a live audience soon. It would be interesting to see why they made this production decision this year. I don't know if it was maybe because of less, it's probably a lot harder to get that floor set up, those lights, the crew, it is a lot, to plan these live shows. So I mean, it's not live, but it's still even recorded, including an audience and that type of thing. It's a lot on the production side. So maybe there was just a reason this year it didn't work out, or they thought it might be more effective. Maybe they wanted to kind of like milk the process a little bit longer or see
I don't know.
acts grow. I'm not sure. I would love to hear why that decision was made.
I mean, I guess it does come off very personal. Like they actually kind of have a connection with the judges. They're able to interact a lot more. Like we were saying, the judges leave the panel table thing and kind of really like interact with them. So I kind of get that. And I think they definitely explained that in the first episode. I just, from my understanding, when they kind of said, okay, this is what we're going to do for the audition process, I didn't think that it would carry over after that. But I mean, it's all about, you know, reinventing things. So we'll see how that plays out. Like I said, don't know. Now, was there, I don't know. I know we kind of talked about like some ones that stood out. I don't know if you guys had any more that stood out, but something that kind of stood out for me, and this is like one of my, like my only critique of what I've seen so far, is that there was a duo, and one of the partners, the woman, or the young girl, she had already participated, I think last year with a different partner. She came back with, I think, her boyfriend now, and they were dancing great dandy. Now, I don't know why they decided to call their dance Urban Dance. I don't know why that was the title besides just calling it like hip hop. Or I feel like we kind of have hip hop, contemporary, sometimes native / folk, or ballet. And so it was kind of, honestly, to me, it kind of stuck out like a sore thumb that they called it Urban Dance. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, are you trying to imply something else? Like, it kind of just like didn't sit well, to be honest. And of course, at first I was like, I'm not even going to like dwell on it. But then I was like, okay, but they're dancing and this is pretty much hip hop. So what, like, what makes it different? And I was like, am I missing something? Like, am I thinking too deep into it? Is Urban Dance's new division that I don't know? Because I was like, that's a little weird. Like, they introduced themselves as urban dancers. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, what is urban? I don't know. It made me raise an eyebrow. But I could be the only one. You guys can tell me if I'm the only one. It was just kind of like, okay.
Well, maybe they were referencing like street. You know how sometimes street, you know, gets like, maybe, I don't know. I wonder if that was, they introduced themselves as urban, or it wasn't productive.
They were like, we are urban dancers. And then the lower third, I'm talking about the lower third said that they were urban dancers. And I was like, what is happening? And they got up there and, you know, we saw the dance. And I was like, so hip hop? Because even people who kind of specialize in break, people that specialize in pop, people who specialize in just tutting and like isolations, that still falls under hip hop. Like, those are all hip hop subdivisions. So urban, it was like, okay, I don't really think that's the title we should go with, but okay, all right, sure. I don't know. It was weird. It was weird. Like, when I was watching it, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, because I was like, why they do that? Why did they do that? But it was just something that kind of raised an eyebrow, because it just raises an eyebrow for me.
Wait, but was that Bailey and Kita, urban dance duo?
Possibly. They had I told you, like, everybody's watching at home. I'm so sorry. I have all these episodes are starting to blend in, and I don't know anybody's name, but they were a duo. She had a ponytail. They had on like reflective sweatpants, and she had been on the show like a season prior. And I know that her partner's name was Aiden.
Oh wait, it's not Josh and Erica, right?
No, no, that's not Kita.
So it's not Josh and Erica?
Girl, I could not tell you their names, to be honest.
So for you, Tiege, when you were, because you were on the you were a Laker girl, right? What would the Laker girls label their type of dance?
Like jazz. Jazz or hip hop, or like commercial jazz, commercial dance.
Or like, and of course I've heard street jazz before. Like, I think we've all kind of heard that term. But urban,
I haven't heard it, but maybe it's like a new descriptor.
I know an urban studio. I know a studio, I think, called Urban. It has urban in the title.
I don't know how I feel about that. I was like, can we just call it hip hop? Like, that's the term.
I think also like World of Dance falls victim to always wanting to look like they have like all of the types of dance ever, because it's World of Dance and they want dancers from everywhere, and that's like kind of their shtick. That is the pitch of the show, is that they're from everywhere. So I think maybe like that was a producer that's like, hey, we need somebody that's a different title. What
created a title?
It was literally said urban dancers. And then they said it, so I'm sure whoever edited was probably like, okay, let's just go with whatever they said. And then I was like, that's not really, I don't know. I think because I know that this panel has a strong dance background, I was like, that's not. I think we have an attention to detail and an attention to terminology and history and things like that. And I was like, I don't think that's the appropriate title, especially when you're referencing either hip hop or because I know some of their styles were kind of like, I don't want to say like social media social dances though, social dancing. And so I was kind of like, is it urban because it's hip hop, or like do we just not know what to call it? Because
here's my question. I mean, you guys have way more dance background than me. Is urban dance, is that like a term people use, or did they just create that term?
I don't hear that.
I do think I've heard of urban funk. Question mark?
Maybe that.
Have anybody heard of urban funk?
For that.
No. I think, okay, if I'm going to be honest, I feel like in my training, more so urban is used like kind of as a term to just kind of like throw on the black dances or like throw on ethnic dances.
Oh.
It's like everything has, or honestly, I'm not even going to say just black dances, but anything that's not ballet half the time, anything that's a little bit more, a little bit either like something closer to street jazz or something closer to even commercial dancing. Just like it's kind of an umbrella term that's not necessarily the technical term. And so it kind of, in my opinion, when I've heard other people say it, I've heard them kind of like use it as a way to diminish other types of dance. So when I heard it, I was kind of like, why are we saying that? Like, because I think hip hop has definitely, especially in World of Dance, it's kind of created a lane for its own. Like, it's definitely something that can win World of Dance. Whereas before World of Dance was a thing, it wasn't as respected. And I think as we see like these elements of hip hop, we can give it, we can pay it its due respect and kind of like the right terminology. It just kind of rubbed me the wrong way because like urban is not really a thing. Like it's ethnic, it's folk, it's, I don't know, it's like even street jazz, because it refers to a certain type of thing. It was just kind of like urban. Okay.
Oh, I want listeners. I feel like people should comment.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Their thoughts about urban dance. Like, is it a thing? Like, have you guys heard it? I definitely.
My thing was, and then I think like, and this really, I don't know if I'm like bored from quarantine because there's really no reason to like think deep into things. But I was kind of like, it kind of made me even more disappointed that we were left out of the native dancing experience. Like I forgot their names, but it was kind of like, okay, if we're going to accept urban dance, whatever that is,
okay,
right, from this pair, because they actually moved on to the duels, and then we tell these people who are actually of a certain culture that we don't necessarily it's not as mainstream as something else, we're not as educated on it as the mass, but then you give them the boot because of it felt like because of lack of understanding. Like you don't understand the technique that goes into that because it's not mainstream. We're just now learning the technique and the skill set used for hip hop, and I think maybe years prior to this, it probably would have been like, well, anybody can do hip hop, so it's not that big of a deal. Of course, now we know you cannot. But I kind of was like, okay, urban dancers okay, fine. But then the people who are representing their culture and who have had success mastering their skill set were given the boot without even like a second thought. I was like, I don't really know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about that. Because like, in my opinion, honestly, I think that was the one collective / two decisions that I was kind of like, I don't agree with the panel on this one, and I wish there was an audience there, because I feel like the audience kind of would have helped the native dance team a little bit. I don't know, y'all have let me ramble, but I just really, those are like two things that stuck out, because I was like, I mean, we don't really, me not sitting here not understanding what urban dance is, I feel like that's the same thing that the panel said about the native dancers. So like, what makes one better or more qualified than the other? You know what I mean? It was kind of like, okay. And I personally was very entertained by the native dancers. Like, I thought it was something that was very unique, something that we haven't really seen, something that us as a country are not really educated on in terms of, like, not outside of people who have dance training. But using that as a segue, is there anything in this season that you guys think we're missing or that you wanted to kind of see more of? Because now we've pretty much solidified what we're going to see. Like we've seen who's going to make it through. We don't know the final number, but we've seen all that we're going to see in terms of auditions. So was there any style of dance or just any component that you were like, I kind of wish we had that this season?
Yeah, you know, for me, I already said, but we both gave our rants on the American dance.
They should have had another shot.
Yeah, so hey, like if you feel like we feel, hit us up in the comments. I'm gonna be on Twitter tonight about it, tweeting at them. They have a really strong fan base. If we're able to get them in sometime, maybe later, to do a special number or something. But when it comes to that education piece, I'm not even gonna repeat everything I already said, but I 100% agree with you on that, Toree.
Yeah, I also wanted to see Tap. We didn't see like any. I don't know if it wasn't there, or if we just didn't see it, like if they edited out of the audition process. But I think that was, especially with the type of floor that they had in I keep calling it the garage, but that's what it looks like. In the garage, I was like, this is perfect for like a tap number, especially because it's so intimate. The music didn't really sound overbearing for anyone, and it seemed like some of the dancers were still mic'd, and I was like, dang, like we will probably, hear a lot of the footwork, but didn't see any. And I was like, dang, I really want to see a tap dancer come out here and kill it. But T, was there anything that you liked?
Yeah, that is surprising. It's interesting and surprising. I think as these dance shows evolve, it kind of is a good marker of like where the dance community is at the time. And like I feel like we're seeing less and less of tap, which was even a thing like 10 years ago. But I think now it's starting to get like, it's just getting, I don't want to say pushed to the side because I think tap is incredible, but I think there's new styles, there's new things going on, there's, new trends and the TikToks and all the things that I think like it's maybe underrepresented right now. Same with like ballet. Did we see any ballet numbers or like point or like very technical? Did we? I don't think we did this season.
And it was we saw one couple and she had on point shoes, but it was kind of like contemporary-ish, and then we saw another soloist, but hers was also contemporary-ish, so I don't think we saw a strict ballet number.
Which may be a result, honestly, of the way that these competition shows go. Like those routines never fully they don't win. I mean, they're great and they're like appreciated and people learn from them and all those things, but I think that if you want to win the competition, sometimes you have to kind of like play by the rule book of like what's going to get you ahead, I think. So unfortunate for those like technical dances, but they're still so important. I mean, you can't be good at jazz if you don't know ballet. You can't be good at rhythm if you don't like take a few tap classes. So I think it's still important for kids to know and take growing up, but it's interesting that we're not seeing it as much on the shows anymore.
Yeah, I think contemporary always like trumps everything in shows, but we'll definitely see. We'll definitely be back here next week to see how these duels pan out. But before we sign off, Kay, where can they find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram, and I'll be tweeting tonight at HostKay, HostKay.
Oh my God.
Where can they find you?
I'm going to subscribe to that tweet session, Kay. I am Tiege Dooley Panko. You guys can find me at TiegDP. It's TIEGEDP on Instagram. And then I also just started a podcast called Well Informed Girlfriends. If that's something that's interesting to you, we talk about news. It's fun.
Ooh, I'll have to listen. You guys can find me on Twitter at Toree with 2 E's. I'm so glad that you guys joined us. We're so happy to be back discussing the show. As you guys already can hear, we have so many ideas, so many opinions. We'll be back here next time. Definitely check us out. Click some other after shows that we're bringing back this week. Check out some of our articles. Please stay safe. Please stay sane and protected during this time. And we will buzz you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.